One tiny word can destroy the timeline of an entire sentence. A paragraph may begin in the past. Everything may seem perfectly clear. Then one verb suddenly jumps into the present. It is like watching a historical movie set in the 1800s and noticing an actor wearing a digital watch. The costume may look correct, the buildings may look correct, but that one modern object ruins the entire scene. By the end of this lesson, you will know how to keep verbs in the correct timeline. You will also learn when changing tense is not only acceptable, but necessary. And near the end, I will give you a sentence containing a hidden time traveler. See whether you can catch it before I reveal the answer. Let us begin. Verb tense tells us when an action happens. It may happen in the past. It may be happening now. Or it may happen in the future. For example, Maria walked to the library. That action happened in the past. Maria walks to the library. That action happens regularly in the present. Maria will walk to the library. That action will happen in the future. Usually, choosing the tense is not difficult. The real challenge is keeping the tense consistent. Imagine that you are directing a movie. Every paragraph is a scene. When a scene begins in the past, the actions inside that scene will usually remain in the past. When a scene begins in the present, the actions will usually remain in the present. Consider this sentence. The scientist entered the laboratory, examines the samples, and recorded the results. Something feels wrong. The first verb is entered. That is past tense. The final verb is recorded. That is also past tense. But the middle verb, examines, is present tense. It has walked into our historical scene wearing a digital watch. To repair the sentence, we need to keep all three actions in the same timeline. The scientist entered the laboratory, examined the samples, and recorded the results. Entered, examined, recorded. All three verbs remain in the past. The scene is consistent. Now listen to this example. The plant belongs to a tropical family, grows in warm climates, and produces bright flowers. The verbs are belongs, grows, and produces. They are all in the present tense. The sentence describes facts that are generally true. Therefore, the present tense is appropriate. If we suddenly wrote, the plant belongs to a tropical family, grew in warm climates, and produces bright flowers, the word grew would interrupt the scene. Unless there is a clear reason to discuss the past, grew should remain grows. This gives us our first strategy. Look at the surrounding verbs. They establish the timeline of the paragraph. If the nearby verbs are is, belongs, grows, and produces, the missing or underlined verb will probably need to be in the present tense. If the surrounding verbs are was, belonged, grew, and produced, the missing verb will probably need to be in the past tense. Do not look at one verb in isolation. Look at the entire movie scene. However, tense consistency does not mean that every verb in a paragraph must always use exactly the same tense. Sometimes the story genuinely moves from one time period to another. In that situation, changing tense is necessary. Imagine a movie scene showing a woman receiving an award in 1990. The narrator then explains something she had accomplished many years earlier. We now have two events in the past, but one event happened before the other. To make the order clear, we can use the past perfect tense. The past perfect is formed with had plus the past participle of the verb. For example, by the time Martha retired, she had given hundreds of performances. There are two past actions. First, she gave hundreds of performances. Later, she retired. The performances happened before the retirement. So we say, she had given hundreds of performances. The word had sends us further back into the past. It acts like a time machine. The phrase by the time is often an important signal. Listen again. By the time the firefighters arrived, the residents had left the building. Which happened first? The residents left. Which happened later? The firefighters arrived? Because leaving happened before another past event, we use had left. Here is another example. By the time the meeting began, the manager had reviewed the proposal. First, the manager reviewed the proposal. Later, the meeting began. The phrase had reviewed makes the sequence clear. But be careful, do not use the past perfect simply because a sentence is in the past. Use it when you need to show that one past action happened before another past action. Now let us discuss hypothetical situations. A hypothetical situation is imagined. It could happen, but it has not happened yet. In these situations, we often use the word would. For example, if Maya had more time, she would learn another language. Maya does not currently have more time. We are imagining what could happen. Here is another example. With better equipment, the team would complete the project more quickly. The sentence describes a possible result, not a confirmed event. The word would helps show that the situation is hypothetical. Would can also describe the future from a past point of view. For example, in 1995, the young inventor did not know that her discovery would transform the industry. The transformation happened after 1995, but the sentence is being told from a point in the past. Therefore, we use would transform rather than will transform. Now it is time for the hidden time traveler. Listen carefully. Last summer, Daniel traveled across the country, visited several national parks, and writes about the experience in his journal. Which verb does not belong? Traveled is past tense. Visited is past tense. But writes is present tense. Writes is the actor wearing the digital watch. The correct sentence is, last summer, Daniel traveled across the country, visited several national parks, and wrote about the experience in his journal. Traveled, visited, wrote. All three actions belong in the same past tense scene. Here is the method to remember. First, identify the timeline. Is the sentence discussing the past, the present, or the future? Second, examine the surrounding verbs. They usually reveal which tense the sentence needs. Third, look for a genuine reason to change time. A phrase such as by the time may signal that one past event happened before another. In that case, use had plus the past participle. Finally, look for hypothetical situations. When the result is imagined rather than certain, would may be the correct choice. Think of every paragraph as a movie scene. Keep the costumes accurate. Keep the setting consistent. And most importantly, do not allow a verb from another time period to wander into the background. Once you learn to recognize the timeline, verb tense becomes much easier. You are no longer guessing which verb sounds right. You are directing the scene. So that was our verb tense and the movie scene rule lecture. See you soon.